We're about to dive into a question that's moving from science fiction to real life way faster than anyone thought. So let's try to forget what you think you know about the future of work. We're going to explore who really wins when the whole idea of having a job changes forever.
Just stop and think about that for a second. What if, for most people, the daily routine of going to work just vanished? Not for a vacation, not for a year, but for good.
And let's be super clear here. We are not talking about a world where everyone just decides to be lazy. This has nothing to do with personal choice or a lack of ambition.
No, this is about a world where technology simply surpasses us at pretty much everything. A world where automation isn't just a helper, it's a full-on replacement. So, if that's the future, who actually comes out on top?
And listen, this isn't some far-off fantasy. It is happening right now. AI is writing code as we speak. Robots are building our houses. And algorithms? They're trading trillions of dollars on the stock market. The scale of this is already staggering. And honestly, we're just at the beginning.
So, if humans aren't earning wages anymore, where does all that incredible new wealth go? Well, the first, and let's face it, most obvious answer is that it flows to a group we can just call the owners.
And who are these owners? Well, they're the people who hold the keys to this new kingdom. They own the robots, they own the brilliant algorithms, they own the massive mountains of data that train the AIs, and they own the digital highways and servers that it all runs on. They own the means of production, which aren't human hands anymore, but silicon chips and pure code.
And you gotta look at the brutal, simple math of this. When a factory becomes fully automated, its productivity goes through the roof. At the exact same time, its single biggest cost, paying people, all but disappears. It is a perfect storm for generating profit.
And this isn't a political statement. It has nothing to do with left or right-wing politics. It's just the cold, hard math of how capital works. All the profits that used to be spread out over 1,000 paychecks now get concentrated into the hands of whoever owns the automated system.
Okay, so capital wins big. We get that. But there's another major player in this game that stands to gain an incredible amount of power and influence in this new world: the state.
So how does that power shift actually happen? Well, first, you have widespread job loss, which creates a lot of instability. Naturally, the state has to step in to keep things from falling apart. All of a sudden, ideas like universal basic income aren't just academic theories, they're necessities. And as the government becomes the main source of income for millions, its whole role changes from being a regulator to being the primary distributor.
And here is the absolute crux of it. In this new world, whoever controls the distribution of money, of food, of housing, well, they control society itself. Power shifts from the employer to the distributor, which gives the state a level of influence over our daily lives we've never seen before.
All right, so we've got the owners of capital, and we've got the state, but there is a third, incredibly powerful winner in this whole scenario: the giant tech platforms.
Think about it. In a world with less work, what's the one thing people have a lot more of? Time. And in that kind of environment, our attention becomes the most valuable resource there is. It's like the new oil. The platforms that can capture and hold that attention, your social media, your streaming services, virtual reality, they become the new engines of the economy.
And this is a really critical point. These tech giants aren't just replacing a worker on an assembly line. No, they're doing something way more profound. By controlling what we see, what we hear, and what we think about, they are fundamentally reshaping society itself.
So you've got these three massive power centers, the owners, the state, and the platforms, all gathering up more and more wealth and power. Which of course leads to the single most important question of all: where does that leave the rest of us? The former workers, the consumers, everybody else.
This is where we really have to reframe the entire conversation. We've been sold this idea that the big conflict is a simple one. It's humans versus the machines. But you know what? That's a distraction. It's a distraction from the real fight.
See, the real battle isn't humans versus AI. It's the same battle we've had for centuries: labor versus capital. It's not really about progress, it's about decentralization versus centralization of power. And it's not just about automation, it's about a really fundamental question: ownership versus access. Do you own a piece of this new world, or are you just renting your life from it?
And that really brings us to the single most important thing to take away from all this. The technology, the automation, that's just the tool. The real revolution, the thing that's going to define this century, is who gets to own it.
So let's circle all the way back to that question we started with and put all the pieces together. Who wins in this automated future?
If we stay on the path we're on right now, the winners are pretty clear. The owners of capital who get all the profits, the tech platforms who control our attention, and the governments who control distribution.
Unless,
And that's the final thought I really want to leave you with. What if the rules of this new game could be changed? What if ownership of this automated world wasn't concentrated, but distributed to everyone? Because that is the real question of our time. And the answer is going to define the future for all of us.